the dragon may be an optional boss, but he is by far one of the best boss fights in the entire Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. To find him, you need to have reached the Jagged Peak region and either battled your way through or ran your way past the Gauntlet of Dragons littering the Jagged Peak until you reached the Jagged Peak Summit Site of Grace. Now, while the various dragon battles leading up to Bayle are optional, there is one fight that I would recommend that you participate in. Beyond the foot of the Jagged Peak Site of Grace will be an encounter where you will find two Jagged Peak drakes fighting each other for some reason. While this battle sucks because you have to either wait for one of the dragons to kill the other, or fight two dragons at the same time, winning this battle will advance the questline of Igon, an NPC who has a very personal grudge with Bayle. By speaking with him and exhausting his dialogue, he'll give you his Furled finger, allowing you to summon him in the fight with Bayle. Needless to say, you're gonna want this guy along for the ride. Alright, let's fight this big boy. Bayle has two phases in battle and a wide array of attacks. First off, he has breath attacks that either fire out in a straight line at you or sweep across the arena horizontally. For the forward attack, dash or dodge roll to the right, and for the horizontal sweep, dash to the right or dodge roll through the fire. There's one attack where he'll lunge forward and try to grab you with his mouth. And if you're caught, he'll just kinda swing you around while you're in his jaw. Watch the timing of this attack and dodge roll towards or away from Bayle just as he's about to bite you. He has some jumping attacks where he'll try to smush you. Again, do the dodge rolling thing just before he lands. He'll have some physical, slashing, biting, and tail whipping attacks that he'll sometimes chain together. He'll also slam the ground with his claw, which will be charged with lightning, so dodge roll forward before it strikes the ground. If you're close to him, he may call down lightning or breathe fire underneath himself. Dashing away is usually a good enough defense against these attacks, but if it's too late, you know what? Just do more dodge rolling. Dodge rolling is very effective against Bayle and most things in this game. Now that's most of what he'll do in Phase 1. Phase 2 will occur once his health bar is somewhere around 60%. It'll be pretty easy to tell when Phase 2 is beginning, as he'll begin charging up with lightning, and the ground around him will start to bubble with magma before eventually erupting. When this is happening, get the hell away from Bayle, while also locking onto him, as afterward, he'll fly up into the air, causing lightning bolts and fireballs to rain down from the sky before he eventually crash lands back to the ground. It's pretty awesome and very, very terrifying. Now, he'll repeat a lot of the attacks from Phase 1 in this phase, only they're going to be faster, hit harder, and usually be lightning charged. He'll slam the ground with a lightning-infused claw like before, and that will usually cause lightning to strike after it connects. This move will also sometimes be the closer of a combo involving multiple swiping or spinning attacks. When he does his flying slam attack, it'll be followed by magma erupting from the ground. The major, dangerous attack that you need to be prepared for is this one right here, where he flies up into the air and unleashes a blast of horizontal and then straightforward fire. This was usually the attack that killed me whenever it occurred. I love this attack. I really do. To avoid this, you need to head towards Bayle and dodge roll forward and to the left to avoid the first horizontal sweep, and then dodge forward and left again to avoid the straightforward blast. From what I can tell, depending on your build and level, you should be able to survive taking damage from one of these blasts, but you probably won't survive getting hit by both. Bayle also has a Phase 2 attack where he'll slam the ground and magma will erupt out of it like this. So yeah, try not to get hit by it. Man, I'm good at giving advice. Bayle is weak to bleed, as well as any anti-dragon consumables and or weaponry. In fact, on the way to the Jagged Peak, you had to go through the Dragon Pit Cave and defeat the ancient Dragon Man who dropped the Dragon Hunter Great Katana. While you can use any old weapon you want in this battle, this katana in particular has an anti-dragon effect, can inflict bleed, and its weapon art, Dragon Wound Slash, is a chargeable projectile that does fantastic damage against dragon enemies. It only requires you to have a strength level of 15 and a dexterity level of 20 to equip it, which you'll likely have if you're playing this DLC. If not, you can always respec your stats with Renala. I leveled it up to about +9, and there's an abundance of regular and somber ancient dragon smithing stones that you can find in the DLC, so you can fully upgrade it if you want. Igon's summoning sign is found just a little forward and to the left of where you enter the boss arena. It's a little awkward to access, as sometimes Bayle will immediately launch an attack the second the fight starts, and often some jackass will have placed a dumb message over Igon's sign, which will make summoning him more difficult than it should be. But you should absolutely summon him, as he provides a distraction that will give you time to heal or attack, and he throws anti-dragon harpoons that can help to stun Bayle. The best times to attack Bayle are after dodging his ground fire, lightning claw, charging bite, and jumping attacks. Always watch the ground during his second phase, because there will likely be some lightning and or magma coming from somewhere after most of his attacks. If you manage to completely dodge that one complicated attack I mentioned earlier that occurs in phase 2, he'll usually be pretty wide open after that, which is a great time to hit him with some dragon wound slashes. For the Flask of Wondrous Physic, I used the Opaline Hard tier to boost my damage negation, and the Stone Barb Cracked tier, as I found that caused him to stagger more, which gave me plenty of critical hit opportunities. Although instead of going for the critical hit, landing additional dragon wound slashes might be a better option. I also got some good use from the Flame Protect Me incantation, and any consumable, incantation, spell, talisman, and or armor that grants you additional physical, fire, and lightning damage negation is going to be your best friend in this battle. As far as your Skidoo tree level is concerned, and yes, I know the proper pronunciation is Shadow Tree, but look at that word. That's Skidoo Tree. I was around Shadow Tree level 7, and I managed to pull it off, but you might have an easier time if you get more Skidoo Tree blessings and get your level up to about 10. Defeating Big Old Bayle will reward you with the Heart of Bayle, a whopping 490,000 runes, and the overwhelming joy of Igon, which is really the biggest reward of all.
Bayle the Dread! You shall haunt me no longer!
Oh, and because this is a From Software game, don't forget to go back to where you last talked to Igon and got his furled finger, because in place of him will be his clothes and weapon, along with his bell bearing, because he's dead. Be sure to check out thegamer.com for all your gaming news and guides, and subscribe to The Gamer YouTube channel. I'm Jamie Latour, and we'll see you next time.